Final segment of this week's Coaches Show with Shannon Currier, head football coach at Concordia St. Paul. Golden Bears this weekend on Saturday, a noon kickoff against Upper Iowa. Coach, I know you want to get back on track. What's it going to take? What do we know about Upper Iowa?
Oh, we're going to have to play a lot better. We're going to have to block and tackle and just play faster, have guys play with a strong desire and more relentless play. But Upper Iowa brings a good team. You know, it's a team we can't overlook. There's a lot of parity in this conference. I think Upper Iowa is very strong with they have a quarterback and running back that are really dynamic. The running back is an elusive player. I think he's a freshman. He had 100 yards last week against Duluth, so he's a guy that we have to get on the ground because if he breaks in the open, he's much harder to contain. And their quarterback's also a dual threat athlete. It's hard to get a good lick on him in a pocket. He moves really well, can throw on the run. And they had a lot of big plays against Duluth this past week. And defensively, I think their front seven is really solid. Their defense line is good. They always play good defense. But we just have to, we have to block who we're supposed to be blocking, and we have to be able to move guys up front, give our quarterback some time and pass protection, and then I feel like, we can move the football. And hopefully, I guess, for the other element of this game is the special teams. And I feel like that's an area that we also should, and every week, have a chance to be superior, just because I think we have a deep roster and guys that can run and catch and block, on those units. So we're expecting ourselves to perform well on special teams too.
You mentioned special teams. You got a couple of field goals out of your new kicker this year. Tell us about him.
Yeah, Sam Hansen comes to us from Owatonna, Minnesota, and he had a couple of state championship opportunities there at Owatonna. One, I know they won, but he's had a great fall camp. As a true freshman last year, he was new and making that transition to a new operating group. Getting the holder and the snapper on the same page, took some time, but he really had a great summer. And I thought he performed really well. He's one of the highlights of our game last week. He was our special teams play of the week. And, we can't be more proud of him. I think he had a career high of 48-yard field goal was his best. And he hit that in the first game, under the lights in a good atmosphere. And we also have a freshman punter from Blaine, Parker Dahlman, we're excited about too. His night wasn't maybe as fantastic, but I think his best is coming. He's got a big leg, and we're excited to see him keep progressing our program too. So, those two young guys are going to be really good, and we're excited about them.
Unfortunately, you kept Parker Dahlman busy. Couldn't stay on the field. You didn't turn the ball over last week against Winona, but you couldn't get into the end zone either, and he punted obviously every time you guys didn't score. So that's got to change. Let's flip over to the other side defensively. What do you know about Upper Iowa's defense?
Well, they're going to be a 4-man front. They're really, I think, they're become a base defense. They're not exotic. They don't like to bring a lot of pressure. They want to contain things and make you throw the football to beat them. Last week, I don't think Duluth had a lot of rushing yards, but they threw the ball over the place. They had a lot of big plays. And I guess their defense is one that forces a team to throw the football. And, we just have to be able to, blocking our perimeter. It's a big part of our game, getting the ball on the edge. We have some speed in the backfield. And this week, we want to make a stronger commitment to running the football. It's a lot easier when you can accumulate some first downs to have more plays to run. But with the presence of Lawan Preston and the other two backs that we have, we feel like we have a trio of running backs are as good as any, and we just got to give them some space. But we're just really focused on our own growth because we see that we need to play better regardless of who we're playing against. We have to give a lot better effort, blocking and trying to run the football. And I expect us to run the football so much better. We have a lot of linemen in our program, but it's time for us to step up and be the players that we know we have here. We have some big kids that have worked hard for over a year, and now come Saturday afternoon, we have to display the performance that we think we're capable of having.
All right. Let's talk about the NSIC. It's a little different this year. You don't have St. Cloud State. You don't have Crookston, as we alluded to a little bit earlier. First of all, what, before we get into the X's and O's of what that means and how the North and South thing has changed, obviously now you guys have basically changed divisions, although you end up playing just about everybody anyway. But what do you think that says about the loss of particularly a program like St. Cloud State? It just seemed to me that that's a huge loss for not just the conference, but just college football in general.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing, being in the football realm, as a college football coach, you never want to see any programs, excuse me, eliminate football. I just feel like it's the front porch to a university. It creates a lot of excitement. There's a lot of players on a team. So you're talking about a roster, a big roster that's eliminated from your university. Financially, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense, because not only are you getting players to come to your school, but I can't tell you how many kids in our program have friends, girlfriends, siblings that come to Concordia University because, we have this particular football player that came here to play football. So I just feel like, obviously the administration doesn't see some of those benefits of the program, but I mean, I'm biased, of course, but how do you have the environment, for homecoming, or, a Saturday afternoon football game is just a great environment, great atmosphere for your students on campus, not just the football players playing the game. So it's always disappointing to see that. I coached at Crookston years ago. It was my first full-time job.
Oh.
Even seeing, and it was NAI back then, and we played Mayville State and Jamestown and Valley City, and Mary was in the league and Minot. So to see them drop football completely is also disappointing, just for the same reasons. Back then the enrollment was small, so 100 football players, is a lot of students, and I'm not sure how many kids came up to Crookston to go to school. They came there to play football then, and I'm sure they were doing that still, last year. But so I think it really hurts the university, and obviously there's a lot of financial, I guess, challenges here in higher education with less students going to college, and I'm just thankful to be at Concordia, where we're really in a good position. We've had 11 straight years of growth. Our administration really focused on the online graduate programs. Years ago, that was, I guess we're looking ahead to these days where there's less students maybe going to higher education. But I guess I'm just lucky that we're in a good spot at Concordia, and grateful to have my position and get the chance to work with student athletes. And as we get switched around and moved within a conference, we just have to show up and play whoever they put in front of us every week. Like you mentioned, there's still 14 teams, and we'll play 13. We'll play 11 of the 13 remaining, us being the 14th team. So we're going to play enough teams in the South and the North, and the bottom line is we have to get better every day, and somehow that's got to be something we do.
All right. Well, you'll have to get better on Saturday. Good luck against Upper Iowa. Noon kickoff over at Seafoam Stadium, and we will look forward to talking to you again next week.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. He is head coach Shannon Currier of the Concordia St. Paul Golden Bears here on the Coaches Show. I'm Wally Longfellow. Have a good night, everybody. We'll talk to you again next week.